Let me make sure I can hear you guys. Um, Hi. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. I'm having a hard time hearing. Okay, yeah, I can't really hear if, let's see. Yeah, I can hear you a little bit. Yeah, I can hear a little bit. Maybe if you like talk closer to the computer or, um, I can hear you like a little bit. I can't really hear exactly what you're saying though. Yeah, I can hear you if you talk right there. Hi guys. Oh, yeah, a little bit. Mhm. Okay, now I can hear you better. I can't hear you. I can hear you a little bit. I just want to make sure I'm hearing you right. Can you guys hear me all right though? Yeah. Okay. Then that's okay.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Awesome, we got a new mic. Perfect, thank you, Mr. Wolf. Okay, so could you first tell them a little background about what you did at Google, YouTube, and what you're doing at school?
Okay, so I worked at Google and YouTube 2 summers ago. So I was at like the YouTube headquarters, which is out near San Francisco. And when I was there, I was working on their web development team. So I was working on when you actually go to the YouTube website, specifically on your phone. So when you're using your phone, you can open up either the YouTube app or you can go online and then go to the YouTube website. So what my job was to redesign what the website looked like. So I did a couple things. I changed what they actually looked like, and I worked with some designers there and actually changed what it was supposed to look like there. So it was a really fun summer. I can talk a little bit more about Google as well. And then I am a senior at MIT now. I'm studying math with computer science and management science, which is basically business. Um, yeah, so I can talk about any of those classes as well as making apps.
Perfect, thanks. Okay, so I'll pass it to the kids now for questions they have. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
So raise your hand if you have a question. We'll get to you guys. So you can put your hand down during a question because I don't want you to have your hands up forever. Since Olivia's right here, she's going to ask you a question first. So tell her your name first.
Okay, I'm Olivia, and I don't know how to make a website.
How to make a website? That's a great question. So I actually had to learn how to make a website last year. So there are tons of different ways that you can do it. There are different websites that help you create it, or you can do it from scratch. But doing it from scratch is really difficult. I actually have a hard time doing it as well. So essentially, when you're making a website, what you do is you have to design what it looks like, and then you also have to design like where things go and how and like the background information that you have to do. So it really depends on what your website is, but there's lots of different things that you can use online that will help you build it and like design what it looks like as well.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, who's next? Okay, we'll get Luke. You can come up to the mic and tell her your name first.
I'm Luke, and
Scoot down a little. Perfect. Okay, scoot down. Yeah.
I'm Luke, and do you know any YouTubers, like famous YouTubers?
Hmm. That I don't think I know any actually, but when I was there, we had a couple different people come in for like preparing for new movies. So I got to meet Seth Rogen and a couple other celebrities when I was there. So they aren't YouTubers, but they were people who are putting their movies on YouTube.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay, some more questions. Morgan?
So I'm Morgan, and is there any websites or things to help you create an app?
Yes, there definitely are. So when I've created apps, I've done them from scratch, so I haven't used the websites. But if you guys are interested in using them, I can find some specific ones that some of my friends have used at school that might help you build an app. So there are definitely ones that you can put in what you want it to look like, and it'll help you actually build it.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, that would be a question. Hold on, Gavin? Okay.
My name's Gavin. When did you first start to make an app?
So I would say I started my sophomore year of college. So that was only like 2 years ago is when I really started to know how to do them and learn how to do them in my classes. But you can start even earlier if you want. It really just you have to learn how to build each part.
She's on mute.
Okay.
She's on mute.
Whoops, we lost your volume.
Oh.
It's my sound box, that's why.
You can hear me?
Okay, sorry, we got you back. Okay.
Did you hear the question? The answer, I mean? Okay.
My name's Matt. How do you make an app?
How do you make an app? So similar to making a website, which I know was a question earlier, there are lots of different ways. So the ways that I've made apps before are you kind of break it into pieces. So one of the pieces that I've worked on before is actually designing the screens. And when you're designing the screens, you have to think about what buttons go to what screens and different actions like that. And so that's the fun part of apps that I think is really fun. And then you also have to have someone do kind of the back end, which actually is what does the functions of the app. Maybe it's making a playlist or it's storing pictures or things like that. So whatever the app actually does, you have to do that. And then you have to put the pieces together. So from my experience, you can kind of design the screens yourself. And then there are things online that I can help you guys out with if you want that you can build the app itself on that.
Okay.
I'm Emma, and when you made who were like the people who created like Google like the letters, like the colors of the letters, because sometimes they have like different patterns in them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So are you talking about when you actually go to the Google website and it has the artwork?
Yeah, and there's like a hotbar, and then there's the Google above it.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure who does them. I think it's a combination of some Google employees who are actually designers and make different designs. But then sometimes, which I think is kind of fun, is sometimes you'll see something that somebody else created who doesn't work at Google and actually submitted it. So for some different artworks that they do, they're actually just like normal people that submitted a really cool design. They tend to do designs for like different days, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Allie?
Okay, my name's Allie, and how do you make an app?
Yeah, so I think we had that question earlier, but that's a great question. Essentially, you can use different things that are online, and you really have to think about how you design it, and then you can go online and actually put the pieces together.
So how about, do you have any tips for them in the designing process?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when you're first making your app, you really want to think about what it will do, and you want to go around and think. So for example, if you're making an app that has to do with music, and maybe making playlists, allowing your friends to add to playlists, you think that's a really cool idea. And so you would go through and think about what other apps exist, and you also want to think about like what your app would look like. So that's kind of the first step, is looking at that. And then once you have that, you can actually create little pieces of paper that represent each screen and go through and kind of lay out exactly what the app would look like. So that's a really fun part because you can actually see without building it. You can see what it would look like and try to test it out with your friends.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, Erin, do you want to come up? I know you're far. Sorry, Erin's making her way up.
When did you start making apps?
Oh, I think someone asked that.
Yeah, so I started when I was about like 2 years ago when I was a sophomore in college.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Alexia?
Doesn't it cost $100 to make an app?
So there are different costs for putting them. You have to put them on like the App Store for them to be able to download to an iPhone, or you have to be able to put them in the Google Play Store. I'm not exactly sure what that cost is. So yes, there are costs, but sometimes you can actually, if you want the app just on your own phone, you can create it and download it to that phone. So there are different costs, and once you're like at the very end of it, you might have to pay for it to go in the App Store.
Right.
So, I was wondering, like, how would, did you, like, meet anybody, like, really? Go ahead.
She said Seth Rogen, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Sandler. Okay. All right, Chris?
What was the first app you've ever made?
The first
Do you
app.
remember?
Let's see. Oh, so I made a really cool app in a class in sophomore year. That was supposed to be a game, essentially. So it was kind of like playing tag with your friends, except for instead of tagging them, like touching them, you have to take a picture of them, and it uses facial recognition to like say that, like, oh yeah, that picture.
Oh, hold on. Oh, wait, sorry, it was frozen. Sorry, it was frozen. Could you repeat when you were saying, I think it froze, what part did it freeze at? When you were saying the facial recognition, that was the last part we heard.
Yeah, okay, so you essentially play tag by taking a picture, and it uses facial recognition to tell you that, like, okay, yeah, that picture was of Kristi. And then you get different points for tagging people throughout the week. It was kind of a fun game.
Is it on the App Store?
No, it's not yet. I think we're still working on it.
Awesome. Okay, Brandon?
Hello, my name's Brandon, and my question is,
It froze.
what was your favorite app you made?
Oh, there we go.
Right back.
Okay, wait, I think I heard your question. You asked what was my favorite app I made?
Yeah.
I think that one was my favorite because it was really fun. I've worked on a couple other apps that were more functional and like different things that help you throughout your day, but that one was a game and it was really fun to make.
All right, thanks.
Okay, David?
My name is David, and my question is, do you have any tips for computer programming and stuff like that?
Ooh, that's a great question. There are so many different things available online for you to start learning how to program. And I actually wish I had started in high school, but I started my first year at MIT. So there are definitely different websites that I can give to Ms. Kruger, and she can send it to you. One is like called codeacademy.com, and essentially you just practice on a couple of different things, and it really helps you learn.
Thank you.
Lily? Or Audrey, sorry. I was looking at her. Oh, is sound by myself? No, it's still on. She's just not talking right now, guys.
Frozen?
No, she's not frozen.
She looks like it.
She's just standing there. Okay. Okay. Could you pass this to Audrey, guys?
Do you know how to make a blog?
How to make a blog. So I saw that you guys have an awesome class blog, actually. So when I've made a blog in the past, it was using kind of the same thing that your blog has, where you use a website to help you do it. But you can also do it from scratch, but it's a little more complicated.
Okay, thanks.
Lexi?
Do you have any apps that you put on the App Store?
Currently, I don't. I have a couple that I've worked on with some friends, and but yeah, I don't have any on the App Store right now.
Mac?
Hey.
Have you learned how to take apart like an iPhone or an iPad?
So I haven't learned about that at all in my classes, but I actually have taken apart my phone. When the screen broke, I actually decided to replace it myself. So I had to take apart the phone, and it was actually really complicated. There's lots of little pieces in there. So I took it apart and put it back together with a new screen.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, Maddie?
Do you know how to make like an app like Skype of FaceTime?
Let's see. If you were trying to like make an app like Skype or FaceTime, it's kind of complicated because you have to do all the video, and then you have to do video where like I can see you guys and you guys can see me. So it's definitely involves some more coding. I haven't done anything like that, but kind of a cool feature to add.
Okay, thanks.
Jordan?
Does it cost money to make a blog?
Make a blog? No. So there's lots of things online that you can do it for free. There are some that you might have to pay for, but you can find ones for free.
Matt?
What did you make your apps out of?
What did I make it out of? Oh, so when I made them all from scratch. So that means that I had to make the screens myself. I actually like designed the logos and made the screens and everything. And then I also used like coding. So I used Java, which is a coding language, and I actually had to code all of it together and use different pieces like that.
Okay, sorry, your sound went off.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I was making my apps, all of them were made from scratch. So when you're making them from scratch, you essentially have to make all of the like logos and the screens. You do that all yourself on your computer. And then you also have to use like a coding language. So for Android phones, you have to use Java, which is a programming language. And then you just program everything together and do that. So I didn't use a website. I just did it from scratch.
Tony?
How long would it take to actually like make an app?
That's a great question. I think it really depends on how much work you need to put into it. If it's like a simple app, you might be able to do it in, a month or two. But a couple apps that I worked on took a really long time, and are some that like I'm still working on. So it really depends on just how much time you put into it. But if you work really hard, and I think you can get it done in a couple months maybe.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Keep your hand raised if you haven't asked a question yet and you still have a question. Alicia? What? Yeah, but first I want to make sure everybody gets a chance first. We'll see how much time Kristi has too.
I'm Alicia, and I want to know if there's certain websites that can help you with making a website.
Yes, so there definitely are. I can find exact websites for you guys if you want that. I used one last year, actually. I made a website and needed some help with it. So there are different things that you can use online that will help you.
Anna?
I'm Anna, and how did you become interested in this?
That's a great question. So when I came to college, I actually had no idea I wanted to study computer science or do anything with apps or computers. And then I took the first programming class that I ever took, which was my freshman year, and I really liked it. So that was like the first time I'd ever done any coding. And so I really enjoyed doing that, and it made a lot of sense to me, and it was something that I wanted to continue doing. So that's kind of what started my interest in computer science and apps.
Awesome, thank you. Will's next.
I'm Will, and are there any websites that help you make websites?
Yes, there definitely are. I think I can send you guys a list of some websites that I've used before as well. But there are different ones. It really depends on what kind of website you want to build, but you can find them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So who else has a question that hasn't gone yet? Have you not gone, Jake? Okay. Jake.
Hi, my name's Jake, and I'm wondering if you had to go through training to work at Google.
That's a great question. So since it was only an internship, I didn't have a very long training period, but I did have to go through a lot of interviews. So I had, I think, 4 interviews, and they were all over the phone. They asked me lots of hard questions. And then once I got there, I did a little bit of training for probably like 2 days to learn about how to do things at YouTube.
Thank you.
Mary, do you have a question? Take it a long way.
No.
My name is Larry, and the app that you made, are you thinking about releasing it to the App Store or Google Play?
So when we made our app, we made it in Java because it was easier to make. So that means it had to be for an Android phone. So if we do release it, it would go to Google Play.
All right. So any more questions? Okay, Matt. I know, but we've been through everyone who had a person. Oh, sorry, Jack. I thought you were David because David was here a second ago. Sorry, Jack first. David was just here.
What's the hardest part about making an app?
That's a really good question. I think the hardest part is putting all of the pieces together and actually making the app work the way you want it to. So when I've made apps before, it's really fun to design the screens and to figure out exactly what your app will do. But when you actually put the pieces together and try to make it work, that part gets kind of tricky sometimes.
Okay, so now anybody who has a second question, we'll take a few second questions. We'll try to get to okay, so Matt, Morgan,
My name's Matt, and are you currently making an app right now or no?
So I'm not working on anything currently, but I have some that I've worked on in the past that I might start working on once I have more time. Yeah.
Okay.
What apps have you made? Like, what do they do?
That's a good question. So I think earlier I talked about one of my apps, which was the first one, which is the like tag game that I made, and then I worked on one of my other favorites was an app that essentially works on like playlists. So if you're like with a bunch of friends and you have a playlist, it'll let them kind of incorporate their music, what they like for music, into your own playlist.
Awesome, thanks. Okay. Luke, Emma, then Allie, then who?
Maddie didn't ask me. Maddie didn't ask one that. Maddie didn't ask me. She did ask.
It's Luke again, and what do you do when you're not making apps?
That's a good question. So when I'm not making apps, I have a lot of classes. So I have homework too. So I'm taking a lot of math classes right now, actually. So I have a lot of work for that. And then other than that, I do, yeah, pretty much a lot of things for my classes and extracurriculars as well.
And one more thing, my cousin has made an app before. She actually works for a business that has made an app, and it's for like when you go to the store and you can't find anything, and like there's not a lot of employees, you can, I forgot the name of it, but you can type in what you're looking for and type in the school, or not the school, the store and the address, and it would tell you what aisle it was in.
Oh, that sounds really cool. I would use that.
All right, Emma.
Hi, me again. What did you do while you were working at Google?
So when I was there, I was working on the YouTube mobile sites. That means like when you go on the website on your phone. And then I basically redesigned what it would look like.
Cool.
That's really cool. Allie?
Whenever you're finished making, like, whenever you have the app, how do you take pictures or videos on it?
That's a good question. So usually it depends if you're developing for an iPhone or an Android or a different type of phone. But you essentially have to kind of incorporate that phone's camera. And there's a way that when you're actually coding it that you just include the camera and then you can use it.
Okay, I think we're gonna wrap up the questions unless somebody has a burning question. Do you have an absolute you need to know? Mr. Wolf does.
The teacher does.
This is another 5th grade teacher, Mr. Wolf.
Hi, thank you for spending some time with us today. I was wondering what subjects should these guys focus on if they're really thinking about a career in computer science or following in your footsteps like this? What would be something they should really think about?
Okay, that's a great so I know that one of the reasons I like computer science is because it has a lot of math in it, and math was my favorite subject when I was your age. So I'm, like I said earlier, I'm actually double majoring in math and computer science, and that's because when you're doing anything with computers, there's a lot of math in it. So I think that would be the biggest thing that I would suggest that you work on a lot. But then there's also lots of different areas within computer science that you can work on. So if you're interested in designing things like I am, you could start working on art and the graphic design part. Or you can look at the actual building it, which involves more math and physics.
Thank you. Okay, are these burning questions? Okay.
Mine's burning. Mine's burning.
Okay. Jake, then Chris, then we're gonna wrap up the questions.
Hi, it's me again, and I was wondering if you've ever made an update for YouTube.
An update for YouTube. So I did a couple things that were really, really small. Let's see. When I was there, I fixed a couple bugs on the actual website. So I didn't actually upload any videos or do anything cool like that. But I was able to. I changed a couple really small things, like what phrases were said on the YouTube site. I fixed a couple typos too, and little things like that.
Thank you.
Then Chris, then we're gonna.
How would you update an app?
How would you update an app? Do you mean, so what do you mean by update?
Like fixing bugs and adding more stuff to
Oh,
it.
okay. Okay, I see. So when you're building the app and then you have something to fix or update, essentially what you do is you kind of create a new version of the app. So once the app is done, it's actually contained in a little package, and you make a new version and then you send it back to the App Store, which then updates it on your phone.
What? Sorry, could you repeat that? The sound went off.
Okay, cool. So when you have an app it's all packaged together, and it's one nice thing that you can just put onto your phone. And so when you have an update, you actually just like fix it on the app, package it up again, and then you send it to the app store, and they send it out for you to update it again. Pretty cool.
Oh my god, again?
The sound went out.
Oh no. Okay, what did you guys hear me say?
Okay, we heard you.
Okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to really quick ask you, so one thing, so a lot of the kids want to make apps for Genius Hour. Oh yeah, I guess I'm not in it. Sorry, I was off to the side, Kristi. Okay, so a lot of the kids want to make apps for Genius Hour. So when you're talking about the designing it on paper, can it just be they're drawing out each step, or how should they go about that?
So when you're doing that, you would essentially, I actually have paper in front of me, so let me see. You would essentially draw out your screens and be able to cut them into little pieces. So like you would actually have a screen, can you guys see this? Like you would actually have a full screen that looks like this. And then you might write in, like your app is Facebook, and you do username, and then a line, and then password, and then a line. And you actually like draw in something that looks like this. And so if this is your first screen, then you would give you the paper to someone, and they have the piece of paper, and you tell them, okay, I want you to log into Facebook, and I want you to post a picture. And so what they do is they actually click on the little physical buttons, and then you change the screens for them. So then they log in, and then you say, okay, here's your home page, and then you have a new screen. And then they have that screen, and they click on the buttons, and you do all the changes for them. So that's kind of a good way of being able to pretend that you have a working app, but it's only on paper. But I've done that for a lot of classes, and it really works in helping you design it.
Perfect, thank you.
Can we do one? What's your favorite color?
Oh, okay, I know that one. Okay, guys, we're done with the question mark. Okay, so anyways, do you have any last tips for us, Kristi, for app making and computer coding?
Let's see. Other than, I think the most fun part is really the designing. So once you focus on that and figure out all the bugs that you could have, then I think that's the most fun to focus on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Okay, I know, guys. Sorry, I can email her the rest of your questions. I know, but she's been on for a long time. Okay, I'll email her the rest of your questions if you guys have some burning ones. But can we all say thank you to Kristi for her time?
Thank you!
All right.
Hi, guys.
Okay. Thanks so much, Kristi. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Good luck, guys.
Don't leave, let us.
Oh, wait, we can't hear. Okay, bye, thanks.
Bye.